Alright guys, Fuller coming to you with another video. Shout outs to the whole LBBC. So here we are again. Looks like Canelo Cash Cow Alvarez will not be fighting in September. I guess the reason for that being is his opponents are not the ones he wants. That's the thing. His opponents are the dangerous ones. And some of his prospective opponents are very much are basically very much busy right now. Let's just say that. So, according to this source, Saul Canelo Alvarez and Golden Boy Promotions have made the decision to postpone the Mexican superstar's previously scheduled September 14th fight date on the zone so that they can find the best possible opponent for the next match. Canelo and Golden Boy want to maximize his fights by facing the best talent to please the boxing public, and recently been in talks with WBO light heavyweight champion Sergey Kovalev for a fight in September. However, they were unable to put together a deal with the star. Canelo's next fight. The other options for Canelo's next fight aren't as appealing. Demetrius Andre, Colin Smith, Sergio Derevyanchenko, and Billy Joe Saunders. I beg to differ. I think personally, those would be spectacular names. They all bring something different to the table. And so for this publication to say that they are not appealing makes me understand that they're basically working for Golden Boy, because I guess Rocky Fielding was appealing because he just sat there and got hit in the with body shots and just went down when they told him he had to go down. I guess that's appealing. I guess Liam Beefy Smith was appealing. Oh God. What can we say? This is how it works. As they say, these are the breaks. So it goes on to say Canelo normally fights on the Mexican holiday weekends in May and September in order to please his fans. This year he'll be deviating from that practice for his next fight. This is what he said. As a Mexican, it's a responsibility and an honor to represent my country in both May and September. Those are my dates. However, as a world champion in multiple weight class, I also have the responsibility of delivering the most exciting and competitive fights possible. That's why Golden Boy and my team have decided to postpone the date in order to do right by my fans by promoting the best fight possible with the best opponent possible, said Canelo. It also goes on to say, talk about his right knee problem. And then it also gives him the excuse of giving the knee more time to rest. So, in the word of words, what Golden Boy is probably doing is they're probably going to wait for the Kovalev Anthony Yard fight, And as a matter of fact, they're actually saying that this is crazy, man. This boxing media honestly is very, very, man, I really cannot believe this. They're not even trying to hide their bias anymore. So, listen to this. It's likely that Golden Boy Promotions are going to wait until the smoke clears from Kovalev and Yard fight. They will then look to have Canelo face the winner. Although it is not a certainty that Kovalev will defeat the powerful Yard, there's a high probability that he will. So you're just gonna like basically discount Yard being a young prospect, being, obviously having the athletic advantage. Yeah, sure, experience does trump all of that, but let's face it, Kovalev has not been looking like the crusher in his past couple of fights. Now, let's go. Now let's go to this. Although Golovkin is one of the two fighters that the zone has approved for Canelo Alvarez to fight, he's not expected to be selected by Golden Boy Promotions. A trilogy fight between Canelo and Golovkin is suspected to take place in May of 2020. It's better that the fight is scheduled for next year because Golovkin has done zero to redeem himself following his loss to Canelo last September. GGG stayed out the ring for 9 months after the loss and came back and recently in beating little-known 35-year-old Canadian Steve Rhodes. What GGG needs to do is step it up against a world champion like WBO belt holder Demetrius Andre and capture his title. That's what Golden Boy Promotions and Canelo wanted Golovkin to do. Instead of doing that, GGG and his team picked out an obscure fighter in Rhodes for GGG to bulldoze in 4 rounds. Golovkin didn't perform well against Rhodes as he took a lot of heavy headshots before stopping him in round 4. And so they're kind of on, in this publication, they're kind of on Triple G's bumper as well. So they said that, if GGG chooses not to fight Andre, then he needs to face one of these guys: Sergio Derevyanchenko, Daniel Jacobs, Callum Smith, David Benavidez, Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Saunders, and Ryota Murata. Derevyanchenko is the obvious choice for Golovkin to face next, as long as Canelo vacates his International Boxing Federation middleweight title. Golovkin and Derevyanchenko can fight for the vacant IBF title. If GGG wins, then he moves on to the trilogy fight with Canelo Alvarez. This is the survival of the fittest. There are no guaranteed fights when it comes to facing Canelo. You have to earn your spot to face the superstar. Golovkin has backed off from facing world-class opposition, and it's not surprising that he's being ignored by Canelo. So basically they're saying that in order to get a fight with Canelo, you have to, in the word of words, to break down this language, in order to get a fight with Canelo, you have to be a certain type of fighter in order to get a fight with him. That type of fighter is one who just stands there and is a punching bag. The reason why I'm saying this is for the simple fact that, when you look at the Daniel Jacobs fight, Canelo didn't look exceptional in that fight. As I said before, if you want to give it a tie, you give it a tie, but I can't say that Canelo won that fight convincingly, because he didn't. he definitely did not win that fight convincingly at all. I mean, he barely skated through it. Now, Doug, he won Rocky Fielding convincingly because look at who Rocky Fielding was. Okay? So basically, in the word of words, this leads me back to my point that I made before. It's unfortunate, but this is just what we have to go through in boxing. You know, this is just the temperature in boxing, the climate in boxing that Demetrius Andrade and Jamal Charlo will have to fight, because you can see that Canelo has no intention on fighting them. You can see that Triple G basically has no intention on fighting them. In fact, what I think Triple G is going to do is he's just going to sit out and wait for that fight. I guarantee you that's what he's going to do. He's going to stay non-active, or he's going to fight another tomato can in order to, like, say, okay, well, I fought this guy, so now just give me Canelo. You know, I guarantee you that's what he's going to do. I'm like 99% sure. So where does this leave the rest of the champions? Stay busy fights, basically. That's it. Stay busy fights. So, and man, I know he feels he deserves a Canelo fight. I know he feels he deserves a Triple G fight. But for the sake of just good old-fashioned boxing, for the sake of just boxing, period, he needs, Boo-Boo just needs to tell Eddie Hearn, listen, man, I ain't getting these fights. They're not putting me in there with the guys, with the top guys, with the guys with the name. So just give me Charlo. Make something happen and make this fight happen. You know. Give me that fight instead. Or if not, I said this before. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Go after Murata. He has a belt. He's at 160. You don't have to worry about 8 more pounds to get a fight going up to super middleweight. Forget that, man. Stay at 160 and get that Murata fight. As for Jamal Charlo, I don't know who his next opponent is. I have a feeling that it's Daniel Jacobs. That's just what I feel. You know, I feel that they have some unfinished business. Maybe Daniel Jacobs is going to stick around at 160 to handle that unfinished business. But, you know, that's what needs to be done, because Canelo is showing his cowardice right now. He has opponents, okay? He has opponents. But I guess he feels that by waiting for subpar opposition, that's a way for him to look spectacular for the fans. That's what it comes down to. He could fight in September. There's no doubt about it. There's nothing stopping him from fighting in September. So, you know, with that being said, it looks like there's not going to be a winner of the Canelo sweepstakes right now. But for these middleweight For these other middleweights' sake, they just need to stay busy. They really do. And what middleweights I'm specifically talking about are Jamal Charlo and Demetrius Andrade, because they have momentum right now. You know, they really have momentum. So they just really need to just stay busy. You know, and hopefully, but he wants his rematch though. That's the problem, because you can throw Hurd in there, and that would be a good, like, that will stir up the pot even more. You know what I mean? So anyway, man, it looks like the zone is succumbing to Canelo's demands, and what this shows is that the zone is actually Kazone. You know, it's Canelo, basically. Canelo is running the show. You know. So anyhow, man, that's all I got for now, guys. Leave your thoughts and leave your comments. I mean, really, this is kind of crazy that he's actually a threat. This is my thing. I don't think Canelo fans will really care who he fights. You know, in his last little comments, he says, as a Mexican, this, that, and the other. And that's who the majority of Canelo's fan base are Mexicans. So they're just happy to see their Mexican superstar in there with anybody. You know, that's the thing. So if it was a Billy Joe Saunders, if it was a Callum Smith, if it was an Andre, they would care less. They wouldn't care. They would still watch it. But anyhow, I guess it's a duck for me. I guess the DuckTales continue with Triple G and Canelo. And this is just further proof of such. Full signing out. Leave your comments. Like and subscribe. And John Rama.